This is turning off of On Nut Road, which is a very main road in Bangkok. And we're coming down this small soi, and all the way at the end of it is Adachai Muay Thai Gym. So obviously you can train with Adachai at Adachai Muay Thai Gym, and he's in the Muay Thai Library. The first time we came here, he had just opened his gym and we came to put him in the Muay Thai Library. And now we're coming down to train with Namsaknoi a second time. His first session is in the Muay Thai Library. You can check that out. And this time we're coming back to get more from him. He's an incredible, tricky, stylish, high IQ fighter, but he also has a lot of power, which makes him really interesting. He's known for beating very difficult opponents. He beat Sanchai. And I really enjoyed working with him the first time, so I was really looking forward to having a second session with him in the Muay Thai Library. Here's the end of the soi here. Normally you would park here and walk up this little pathway straight in front, and you have this very cool walk into the gym. It's very jungly. So here's rolling into the back side of Adachai Muay Thai Gym. Look at that. That does not look like you're in the middle of Bangkok, and you totally are. The sky's beautiful. There's a temple over at the distance. Behind that tree there's a lake. Very nice open area. Apparently sometimes they set up a ring here and have fight cards. So there are lots of people who live around the gym, so there's activity, people who actually play out their lives there, which is nice. There's always people. We're getting out, and this is after regular training, so we're coming just to meet with Namsaknoi, so it's a little bit quiet. Very nice and open. It's interesting to try to learn the style of a female fighter because it's all about timing and rhythm and not really thinking but feeling everything. So it's really hard to teach that. So I was very surprised by both when I trained with Adachai and then when I trained with Namsaknoi. The best way to learn the style is just by playing and doing. And so I was actually super stoked to come play with Namsaknoi again because he's so much fun. That's him standing there as we're coming in, strolling over. He's not a small dude. So this is Namsaknoi. He's playful immediately. You can see we're the same size, so it's a lot of fun to spar with him. But I'm basically using techniques that I learned from him in our first session and trying to integrate them in sparring in our second session because I've been working on them in the time between. For those of you who are listening to this in the podcast format, I'm going to be cackling a lot in the session, so I'll try to describe what's happening so that you guys can follow along. But basically, I had a lot of fun playing with him, and so there's a lot of laughing going on. I'm already laughing because everything he does puts a little bit of tension in me, which slows me down. But that's how female fighters work, is they, in their trickiness or the faces they make or the movements they make, they're trying to create tension in their opponents. So that's why it's really good to use sparring to learn these techniques. See how he's using that fake and actually switching sides? It creates a tension in me that allows him to land his strikes. So if I work on not having that tension, I can move towards his style. So because we're both standing orthodox, there's a lot of switch stepping. It's not switching in place, which a lot of people in the West learn, but you're actually galloping forward and switching stance at the same time so that you can land into the opponent's open side. Like that. So that gallop to the side and then throwing into his open side is a big part of Namsaknoi's style. He throws his front leg, like his lead leg, a lot. And so he said he hated fighting southpaws because that's actually their closed side when he's trying to do that. Look at how long he makes himself, though. When you're watching us just playing around like this, pay a lot of attention to his feet and where his weight is. You can see there how he's stepping outside of my stance and then just bringing his leg up. He's always stepping outside of his opponent's stance of their feet, which allows him to cut off the ring without taking a great many steps, but it also allows him to change direction really fast. So here I'm doing things that he taught me. I caught his kick and I tried to lift it and throw him over, but his leg weighs as much as I do. He has very, very heavy legs. See that bounce he puts in his hands? He has a really good guard. Like, his punches are actually really good and his guard is incredibly good. But he's able to keep it relaxed and then kind of like pop it into place really quickly so that he's not like robo-copping with his hands up all the time.
So running Superman.
So this is almost like a Superman, except he switches his stance and gallops forward in order to extend the arm. So you bring the leg up as a fake, and then you're going to kind of kick it back and use it to propel yourself forward for that long arm. So there's a variation to this, which is that you actually switch your stance and end up throwing your previously front arm as a cross. This is staying in your stance, but using the fake to gallop forward and cover a lot of distance. So he's showing me that the opponent can get out of the way of this if they see it. They can dodge back. And so he's going to show me some other options. He's saying that I have to bring my leg up higher on my fake. And then see how he like ducks his head? He does this little like dolphin dive thing. Both he and Karahat have this amazing ducking their heads in as they're closing distance that I really, really like. You can see Karahat in the Muay Thai Library. There are many sessions where he's doing that. So I'm bringing it up a little bit higher, and then I can also use that same fake to throw the kick because he tried to move back. See how much distance you cover. One of the things, Namsaknoi and Karahat have actually quite similar styles. What he just did to me is something that Karahat has taught me before, where you throw a body punch but then end up throwing the kick instead because the person tries to get out of the way. See how he's ducking his hips back in order to get out of the way of the punch? Now his face is forward, so you can totally just throw a head kick because they dodged your punch. But you have to see how they're responding to the punch first and then throwing the kick because of what they did. If they don't move, your punch is going to land, so that's fine. Both he and Karahat have this style. Karahat's very small. Namsaknoi is quite big. So one of the differences in their style, even though it's very similar, is, and if you watch my sessions with Karahat, you'll hear me talk about it, that his fakes are not about which weapon he's going to throw. They're actually about when it's going to come. He fakes with timing. Namsaknoi's fakes, he does move his arms around to distract you so that he can then throw something that you weren't expecting. But what's most beautiful and unique about his style of faking is that he actually fakes distances. Like, you think he's going to throw something short, and then he has incredible length, this like go-go gadget leg or arm with how much distance he can cover with a really long strike. So that's why he switches stance and has this galloping forward and kind of like extension on things. See that? He went backwards and then changed direction to crash towards me. He's playing with distances. He's actually making me close the distance for him when he changed direction like that. And see how he switches stance when he does it too, so that he can go into my open side. He says change to southpaw, and see how he puts his shoulder like right in my space.
He did it while I was going too, so he's coming to the outside.
He did it while I was walking, so he actually came outside my leg as my leg was coming forward, which again, I'm doing like half the work for him. See how I did the little fake first, and then he switches to, he's actually starting in southpaw and switching to orthodox. But you switch your stance, I'm going into southpaw, and then I can land my left kick into his open side.
Oh, he just walks into it.
He's just walking. It's beautiful, but he does that little like shoulder twitch first. Look at his balance. Look at the weight between his feet. Like, he's not a forward, he's not a front leg fighter, and he's not a back leg fighter. He's like very, very even all the time. So I stole this move from him, which is when someone is pushing your arm like they're trying to be really long, you basically shove their glove under your armpit and elbow over it. This is one of the things that's illustrative of his playing with distance, is that someone is extending out. See how I'm pushing his chest and I'm pushing his arm? I'm basically locking his arm out, but by him shoving it under his armpit, he's basically closing that distance really, really fast, and I'm doing half the work for him because of the tension in my arm. He's showing this little like roll with his shoulder, in how he shoves it under his armpit. He's got this little like twist. He tried to push it straight down and he's like, it's not going to go. That's why you have to roll your shoulder a little bit. So he like pulls his shoulder back a little bit. That look he just gave me lets me know that there was power on that elbow. Look how pretty his guard is though. It's relaxed and fast. Look at when he changes stance too. Like if he's dodging away from me and he switches stance, it's setting up the counter at the same time. A lot of people mistake femur style fighting as like running away all the time because fighters who do it badly do it that way. But really, really great femur fighters who stay in are beautiful and scary and very hard to fight. See how he just waits? He's waiting for me to make the move, and then he has this slight move outside. The reason he's able to move outside that quickly is because everything he does is putting his feet on the outside of my feet. And I'm tagging him a little bit. I'm actually getting points here, but he just stands there. Like if he gets scored on, he does not care. He just stays right there and counters. Here he's teaching me what he's been doing, right? So he took 2 steps back, which basically goads the opponent to follow. So you're like, I'm getting away from you. And after you take 2 steps back, you switch direction and charge towards them. But he's stepping outside my foot. If he's stepping straight, he's just going to clash into me. But he's actually stepping outside my leg and knocking me over. I love this technique. This is really, really cool. So you're goading your opponent to come forward, and then when you change direction, you're basically like knocking them over. But see how close he comes to me? You don't step outside of them too far. You basically step right into them with your chest, but your foot's on the outside so you can knock them over.
Step back 1 step.
He's like, if you step back 1 step, they're gonna come. So if he takes a step towards me and I take a step back, he has limited options on what he can throw. But if he's going backwards and I'm still coming forward and he changes direction, he actually has more options of what he can do because I'm coming forward there. He can use my own momentum against me. This is the great thing about Namsaknoi and Karahat is they can make you miss from like 2 inches away. Like, why am I missing that?
You're in control.
So he's saying you maintain more control on body punches if you don't let your head come in front of your foot. You want your head over your foot in terms of like a vertical line, but you don't want your head in front of your foot because you basically have thrown your weight too far forward and you have to reverse the entire car to come back. If you stay over your foot, you have the next move already. So he was saying don't dive your head in front of your foot when you're trying to go low. It's like if you overturn on your kick, you're done. You have that one kick and then you have to like reverse the entire thing. I'm cackling because what he's doing with his arms as he's like faking is something that should not trick me, and it does. It's totally distracting. It's like how a cat cannot help but chase the red light or something. So he's just barely moving back or staying in one spot, and here he's galloping towards me, but he's actually switching his stance and going outside of my feet all the time. See how much he's controlling where I can go? I managed to catch him, and I'm cackling because it was so scary, but he's basically like corralling me by galloping outside of my feet. It's very much like the footwork that Yodkun Pan teaches. You can watch him in the Muay Thai Library and what his gallop is like, but he's doing it really, really close so that he can trip me on either side. Look how beautiful that like switchback is. And he's using his shoulders to fake as well, like which way he's gonna go. But if you look at like the center of his back, like if you look as though there's a pole on his back, he stays incredibly balanced all the time. Like he's not distorting his body. See this? He's just like going forward and back messing with me. He's very balanced all the time. He's not. I've used the example before saying that you like go outside your frame. You don't break your frame. His frame is very, very centered. So he tripped me almost without even using his hands. He used his right hand a little bit to like help me fall. But he basically, because I was coming forward, just used my own momentum. Here he's going to show me how to do it. His right leg goes inside my left leg. He barely pops it. He's basically just lifting my heel up and then pushes me at the same time.
You outside.
In the Muay Thai Library is Crew Guy.
Yeah, arm out. It's a
Crew Guy
trip.
teaches a trip like this, and he teaches it for quite a while, so there's a nice breakdown in it. You can watch that patron session if you want to learn this. But it's similar and not quite the same. But what's really important about it is that you knock the leg. You're not kneeing the inside of the thigh, you're just knocking it so that you're changing the opponent's balance. And as their balance changes, you have to move your leg out of the way. Right there, I managed to get him down, but I didn't move my leg. And so when I shadowed it afterwards, I exaggerated the movement of the leg. I should be doing that when I'm tripping him. But because it's not a power move, it's a balance move, even with the difference in our size, I can put someone as big as Namsaknoi down with just that little off balancing. Look at his guard. He keeps it kind of wide, like he can look through it, but it moves so fast. So I tried to steal his like putting the hands on the outside of the guard and kind of like coming around it, which is something that he taught me in the first session. You can go watch that. I tried to steal it, and so now he's going to show me how it really works.
Cover outside from outside.
He's pushing my guard in, but look at how he kind of pivots out. He does this little step out first.
Oh,
This is especially important because of how short I am. So if I try to just go over his hand straight because I'm really short, I might not reach him.
But
Yeah, you don't.
I'm too short. He can definitely hit me at the same time I'm hitting him if I just try to go over. But by stepping slightly to the outside, one, that's good for me because I'm short, so it allows me to be closer. But two, I'm offline for whatever his counter is, so it's not a like 50-50 exchange. I take the lead on that by coming outside of his front guard. He's making himself kind of like squared off so that I can try to do that trip. That trip is about timing. I put my butt back and didn't bring my leg. He's like, your butt and your leg have to go at the same time. See how my leg went? My left leg came around. It's getting out of the way of the momentum of throwing him in that direction.
instead of my leg.
Yeah.
Together.
See that pivot? You can't just put your butt back. You have to bring your leg in order to get the full momentum. He's doing what he does literally on the guard, but he's doing it comically. He's kind of like slapping on either side of me. But that's what he's doing to the guard all the time, is kind of like pushing the hands in. Here he's slowing it down. See how he's rolling? He's like, if your hands are both on the inside, if someone's trying to do this to you, they're trying to come outside your guard, you have to flop, come to the outside really fast. It's the same way that in clinching, you're always trying to come to the inside. But from the outside, at a distance, you're always trying to be on the outside.
แขนยาวกว่าครับไม่กลัว
he's pushing his hips forward to like make me think that I want to kick him or punch him somewhere, and then he just moves out of the way. So he's actually in his body postures manipulating what I want to throw. I caught his leg and he basically used his leg to throw me down. That is a power move. That is a difference in size move. That's not a like timing technique. Watch his feet. See how he's like pivoting out around me? Because he's pivoting around me, I have to follow him. Like I have to kind of like dizzyingly follow him. And that allows him to predict where I'm going to be. So see, I went outside his hand in the opposite direction as the first time he showed me. And then I'm a little bit behind him. He's just putting his hands down and letting me try to pick what I'm going to throw at him, and he's just got counters for it. He's having me chase him, right? So I'm stepping forward and he just shifts his weight and throws a head kick. When he caught my teep, he pushed my leg across my body and then moved in the opposite direction. So he's actually outside my front side. That's being in someone's blind spot. There's nothing I can do from there to strike him. When he head kicks me and I catch it and try to put him down, there's just no way. So here I'm bringing back, this is like a callback to something that he taught me in the first session. In the first session, he had this beautiful gallop off to the side where he was switching stance and throwing his jab as he was doing so. But you can also reach across the person and like grab their neck. So he's showing me in what I was doing to try to call it back. He was making slight corrections because I was stepping really wide but not towards him. You have to step towards and behind their leg, basically. Look at his posture when he catches something. See how he's outside my leg there? He pushes my leg across my own body to off-balance me and then comes outside of it. Now he's like, I'm cackling because he's presenting his leg so that I really, really want to kick it. But then it's basically like taking the bait of what he wanted me to do because he has the counter ready for it. So now I'm not kicking the leg, even though he's popping it, wanting me to do so. I did a body punch back spinning elbow, which totally would have landed, but he didn't care. He just stood there and had the counter on top of it. This is one of the things about his style, is that even if you get hit, there's something on top of it. So I'm trying to roll my shoulder like he was showing me earlier to like tuck his hand under my armpit. When he does it in shadow, it's really beautiful. You can see how he's even like loading for the elbow a little bit. He likes to switch into southpaw. He likes to throw that left leg, especially against an orthodox fighter that's to the open side. What he's doing with his hands, he's flopping his hands up and down. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I can't stop laughing. And he's like, why are you laughing so hard? And it's because it's the most ridiculous Mickey Mouse hands thing. It looks like a joke, and yet it's completely petrifying me and putting tension in my style so that I can't hit him. And he's laughing because he's like, I actually do like this. Like, this is how I fight. He's just exaggerating it a little bit. Look where he's looking. He's seeing my head coming forward because I'm punching a lot. And because my focus is up top because I'm punching, he just pulls my foot. Like, he goes all the way down because I'm thinking very high. He's one of the most evasive fighters ever, and he doesn't hop around. Like, he's just getting out of the way. And now he's like rubbing his face with his gloves. When you have a lot of Vaseline on your face in a fight, you'll see a lot of fighters kind of like rubbing their face with their gloves. So he's taking elements that he knows about himself from fighting and pulling it into the play of training, which is one of the best things about sparring in Thailand. People think that like the most amazing thing about Thai sparring is that it's light. The power of it is not what Thai sparring is about. It's this borrowing elements from real fighting, like these little ticks, like rubbing his face because he has sweat in his eyes, or kind of like making sounds like the crowd. The playfulness of it is pulling elements from real fighting. Look at how he's snuffing my clinch here. He's just kind of like flopping his arms in the direction of where I'm trying to push him. So basically he's not pushing against me. He's just blowing out the lines of where I'm going already, and it's off balancing me. It's like rocking the boat too hard. This is really nice. I like what he shows me here. So I get inside on the clinch, which you're always trying to do, right? So if I have inside position here, I can throw an elbow. As I'm throwing the elbow, he just rolls his shoulder so that I slide past him, and then his hand is already on the outside, so he can lock my neck and basically like put me in a side hold. This is such a cool counter, because I would have thought that inside position with the elbow, you're pretty screwed. That's pretty one-sided. But look how easy it is to just like roll out of the way if you have the timing on it, if you know that that's what someone's trying to do. He doesn't move his feet a whole lot on it, but he is slipping out of the way so that when his arm that's on the outside is pushing the head down, he can kind of spin behind. Look at how he tucks his shoulder up towards his chin. That allows him to be protected in case my elbow doesn't slip all the way past him. It's nice, right?
Yeah.
Does he also pin your
Very
arm?
slick.
He lets it.
Yeah,
He lets it go through, and then because you're
Yeah.
following, you end up across
Yeah, but he
yourself.
pinned your other arm.
But you end up across yourself like this. That's how
So Kevin's asking whether or not Namsaknoi pins that long arm. You don't have to. He has, see what he's doing with his right hand? He is cupping it like he's holding that extended arm. But you don't have to. You just want to catch them as you're coming around. See how I pinned his arm as I'm coming around so that I can keep pulling him? But when he slips past me, look at his body position. See how his feet are kind of like rolled on top of each other? So if he's totally sideways, I can just spin him out. So I'm kind of taking too much space away from him as I'm trying to turn. If I stay really, really close, like let him just slide across my chest, it's a much better momentum to be able to spin him out. So I'm yelling Mao, if you guys can hear that. That means drunk in Thai, and it's if you get like hit in the face and you're kind of like rung, I guess is what we call it in English. They call that Mao in Thai. So when I land something on him, I'm screaming Mao, and then you have to like go after him. That's again pulling in elements of real fight to the play of sparring. He's getting a little bit of bounce going now. He's moving a little bit more, but then he stops and is like, "Come get me," and I basically have to like panic think what I'm gonna do. It's a very clever mind tactic in how he fights.
push it down. I'm like,
I keep trying to push down too straight. That's why he has that roll in his shoulder.
He
Is
rolls
to
his shoulder
is to
a little bit.
clear the
Yeah, look at his shoulder. Look at his shoulder.
clear the glove because it's puffy at the end.
It's beautiful, yeah.
It's so pretty when he does it in shadow. He's rolling his shoulders now to show like how loose they are. It's like how boxers can roll their shoulders on punches. I had lost track of what I was trying to do, so now I'm in inside position, and he's basically he's got an outside position which is not dominant in the clinch, but he's pinching me, putting pressure on the outside of my arms, so my position is actually not helping me in that. See how he swam in and he's like pushing my arm down? Now I'm concentrating on where his arm is and controlling his arms, and because I'm thinking so hard about controlling his arms, he's able to trip me without even using his hands by just popping my leg the way he showed me earlier. It's just a little twist. This is really nice. So you will get a lot of face smushing in, or like cross facing in clinch, because
shoulder
people
again.
put a lot of tension on your shoulder. He's showing how to get out of it. So I'm putting pressure on his face, and he's stuck. So what he does is he
Unlocking a
rolls
door.
his thumb down, he rolls his hand inward, and then because his elbow has crossed the line of where my arm is, he can then use it
Your
to
elbow has to
push
come
down
free.
and peel my arm off.
Get your elbow up and then out.
So you get your elbow up, and then you like fold it down.
yeah.
So when he turns, see how his elbow passes
Oh,
my arm?
and the elbow points up.
Elbow points up.
It's the same thing when someone catches your kick. Your knee is pointed sideways if you're kicking, because
Elbow
you're
up.
kicking with your shin. If you pop it so that your knee is up, you can
All the
then
way.
The shoulder here.
yank yourself out or put a lot of weight down and kind of get out. So basically, your arm is in a position where you don't have a lot of power because it's turned. So you overturn
hand.
it so that your elbow can pass that little area, and then you can use that new position where the elbow
hand.
is
Get
to
in the back of
fold
the
down.
Yeah.
See where my elbow went on his bicep, and then you can pull it down. Oh, it's so good. I'm gonna practice this a lot. This is really, really good. It's a position that you'll get in a lot if you're clinching.
Very good.
Because
So pretty.
If someone press your face like that, you can't take this off because
He's saying if someone pushes your face like that, you can't take this off, especially with the glove. You can't pull your arm out, and there's a lot of pressure on it. So you have to roll and then go in the opposite direction.
You have to do 1, 2.
Same like a
But you have to do it kind of quickly. If you're already stuck and you roll your hand and don't come out, you've just
Dangerous.
gotten yourself in a worse position. It's like
because for me,
the tie getting stuck in a thing that's pulling it in.
yeah.
Oh, you move. Oh.
So he's saying the way to counter that counter, right? If you're the one smushing the face, is to keep moving behind them. You keep rolling behind them so that they can't get the angle of their elbow to come up.
Then they will have to follow me.
Oh.
No,
He
but
says they have to
pushes
follow
the
me.
face.
Oh.
They can't do that. He's moving.
Oh.
So the opponent's like,
Yeah.
So if you're the one
Yeah.
pushing someone's face,
Beautiful.
rotate.
Because if I stay, then they can easier to escape.
Yeah.
He's saying if he stays still as the face smusher, it's easy for the person to do the escape that he showed. But if someone, look at what he's doing here, he changes direction.
I'll show you again.
So he's the one pushing my face, yeah?
Turn.
He's going behind me, he's turning behind me, and then he's gonna switch direction really fast because I have to follow him.
scissor.
Oh, evil.
Very
He
slick.
chopped the arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then pushes you again.
From extended,
So he's saying you go from super extended because you're the one pushing the face. So you're really extended and you're going behind them and then you bend and change direction.
I go. Or no, I push. Am I?
yeah.
It's figuring out who's doing what. So I have to step right. I have to go behind him. And then when I get behind his foot, collapse my arm and pull him over it by changing
To
direction.
the foot.
Yeah.
Close. Yeah.
When you go, you're not push.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Not push your hip. You take the step.
And he's like, the opponent has to follow you because you've got their arm twisted. Like it's actually really painful on the shoulder. They have to follow you.
Step.
And then you just bop. The glove goes flying.
Fun young.
That's pretty good.
So look at how he pulls his hands out. Like he does this little kind of like, it's almost like how kittens do where they like extend their hands out. And he uses it as this fake to get the opponent to kind of like tense and brace for what the thing is that's gonna come. But his trick when he does that fake is actually that he throws something really long. Like he covers a lot of distance. So we've been sparring for like 30 minutes and he's actually starting to get a little bit tired, which makes him a little bit more mean. So he's actually tagging me directly in the face and making me chase him around a little bit more. Here he's teaching me how when you have someone in the ropes, they only have one option of which direction they can go in. He can't go left, there's no way because he's stuck on the rope. So you know he has to go right. So you're gonna fire your right kick to catch him as he's trying to escape out. But I'm in front of him as his back is towards the ropes. So I have to go left in order to like shoo him out to the right. There he's showing me that. He's showing me how I have to go left.
I knew that was good.
And then if he knows that I'm going to try to kick him, he put his block up. And so I punched him instead. There. So one of the things that Karahat and Namsaknoi focus on quite a lot is that you look at what your opponent's response to what you're doing is, and then you have the next move. You always have like a two-directional bifurcated choose your own adventure based on what their response was. Look at that fake. It was like a question mark kick almost, but he like went to kick my leg and then did a head kick instead. He's putting his arms out wide, which is kind of similar to how he steps outside of my stance in order to like keep me really centered. Because his arms are wide, I'm like, I'm gonna stay right here in the center. He keeps me from using the same technique that's working so well for him, and now he's making faces at me. And I can't handle it. So here I'm chasing him in, and he's staying still a little bit to get me to try to do a trip. So This is an
that
alternate
position a lot,
to what he
Sylvie.
showed me in that first
that
trip,
position
where
a
I
lot.
went inside his leg and kind of pushed him over.
ใช่
This one, you're kind of sweeping the leg out.
so like
Again, I've had experience trying to teach these trips to people, and they always knee the leg. You're not kneeing the leg. You're using the thigh near your knee to pop the leg, but it's not throwing a knee. So what he's explaining here is that when the person's weight is up high and their feet are kind of close together, you can use the first trip that he showed me. When they bring their weight down, they like drop down and get really wide. You just like slide the leg out instead.
So if their weight is up, that's when you do the chicken man throw. If their weight is low, that's when you sweep.
So you feel where their weight is, and then you know which throw to use.
Can you do the elbow thing?
So
I didn't get it on
Kevin had to
camera.
change a battery or something,
I didn't get
and
the
Namsaknoi
block-
and I
the
kept
block.
going, and he was showing me this really beautiful this block, and so we're recreating it here because it wasn't caught on film. There's something really cool about this. So his front arm creates like the spike guard. You can see the spike guard taught to me by Sagat in our first
Okay, you do it.
patron session,
Okay, I see.
but you're using your elbow to block. But then he's using the back arm to parry the punch that's coming. And so your hand and your elbow kind of almost touch. So you're guarded on both sides. As I'm parrying his punch, because my elbow is up, if he manages to, throw a hook, or he was faking what he was throwing or something like that, I'm guarded on the other side.
really?
But
Yeah.
the elbow and the hand touch in a way that I'm telling Kevin is similar to like when you check a kick, you want your knee and your elbow to touch. It's creating a point of connection. And so here he's showing me how you can block and catch a kick at the same time. Because your hand is connected on that block anyway, you just kind of drop it down to
you
scoop
do-
it.
it's two movements.
See how he just drops his hand? It's almost like a latch falling on a door or something. So he just latches over the leg, and then he has it as his block comes down. I'm breaking my posture as I'm doing that. That's not right. But you just kind of you latch it, and then you're holding it. And again, one of my favorite things about Namsaknoi is how he holds a caught kick. It's literally his demeanor and his attitude as he holds it. If I were to create a comic book cell or a playing card that expressed Namsaknoi in a single image, it would be how he holds a caught kick. I can't knock him over, but if you can off balance and then chase after, it's good enough. I'm telling Kevin how much I love how he holds a caught kick, and he's like, imitate it. I'm like, I don't know if I can. Look at how he's doing it. See how he rips it across my body? But he holds it in this, I could do this all day. And he kind of pushes his hip forward
Because he
like this. I'm trying to do it a little bit. But he kind of swings it a little bit too, like a hammock.
Comes behind it or whatever. It's very
sometimes
There. Oh, fuck. He pushed it across the body, and then he loaded for his right cross to come across. It's nasty. No. I didn't cover any distance on that. Look at the posture or the position of his arm when he's showing me how to throw a kick. Not how to throw a kick, but how to, when you've caught a kick, how to throw it off to the side, how to throw someone else's kick. His shoulder is up by his chin, and his arm is really, really straight. And then when he swings it, it almost looks like he's opening a gate or bowling.
It's like bowling. His arm is very straight.
Here I say it's like bowling. His arm is so straight. But why that's important is because by making it all one piece, he doesn't have to use a lot of power to put a lot of spin on throwing the person's leg. So he's saying yoke, which actually means to lift something. So he's trying to get me to see how just lifting your front leg, faking whether it's going to be a teep or a step, you can use that to force the opponent to move or to freeze. Look at him switch stance as he's making himself so go-go gadget long to throw these things. That uppercut was awesome. Now he's just spinning his arms around. being a total jerk. Like, I could do this all day. I've talked about how the way that you perform in sparring is borrowing elements from fighting. What's beautiful to me about what he's doing right here is that he's getting tired. Like, he's actually starting to lose energy. And so instead of trying to preserve energy by moving less or like getting out of the way so he doesn't get hit or whatever the thing is, he's actually just made his performance such that it looks like he's bored by how I can't hit him. So here's parrying him out of the way and hitting into his open side. Oh, see how wide he goes? When he catches that, he like splays himself out to the side in order to like contort my body, and then he's got all this room to throw something with power as a counter. He's even expressing how tired he is, but his attitude and his performance is still like, God, do you really want to keep coming after me? This is so boring. It's amazing. In Thai they call it Muay Thai. It means like they can't even fight you, like not even same level. He is performing Muay Thai even though I'm doing perfectly well, like I'm coming forward with power and moves and all this stuff, but he's making it look like I just haven't gotten the memo or something. This is one of the things that you have to practice and you have to learn from stylish fighters as well, is how to do that kind of performance. Like, just walk me down now. He basically let me throw a bunch of strikes to tire myself out, and then he just waited for me to finish my set and then just walked me across the whole ring. He's just walking. So because he's coming forward, he's trying to show me how to like take those 2 steps back and then change direction. But I have to step off, I have to pivot out to the side to get outside of his guard. It's a really important part of that technique. I'm taking too many steps. I'm like doing this little like change of stance in place and then coming out to the side. You want it to be one single step out to the side. Like as you gallop, you land on the outside of someone. There I go. See how he holds it even for a second so everyone can see it first? He just did a spinning donkey kick into my belly. He thought about it for a minute and he's like, nobody does this. Nobody's going to let you do this. It's like Sing Dam got knocked out like that in China fighting some like kung fu guy. He's actually able to, as he bounces that front leg, turn it into anything he might want to use it for, but he's mostly using it to get me to think 2 or 3 options, and then he knows what those 2 or 3 options are and how to counter them. Look at him change direction so fast. Watch his feet. Look at how he's always outside of my stance. Like right side, left side, right side, left side. Why am I not teeping? He's so wide right there. It's because he's scary. He's just walking in. And because it looks like he wants to punch me in the face, he's then tripping me at my feet and doing leg kicks because I'm so focused on blocking up top. That's like mental high-low instead of actually hitting high-low. And now he's like, come get me, like Bruce Lee style. I don't know if you guys can hear this in the background, but this is yet another thing that kind of you pull into play sparring. He's making this sound. He's going, which this sound is used as a kind of like, I'm going to keep coming after you. Can you handle it? And it's like a war drum or something to me. Like when I hear it, I get so riled. I make the sound myself sometimes. But when my training partner is doing it, it's totally this like dun 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 dun. It makes me like, I don't know, bring my tempo up. I'm trying to trip him, but he's very balanced. And so I have to figure out where his weight is and whether I can do the first trip or the second trip. He's happy with that one. He's like, that was the correct option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Low.
That's why the first time you go, understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Slide.
So he's actually giving me a slight variation here.
Is it better
I
with
was
the foot or the
popping with
knee?
my knee on both of those moves before.
The foot?
And a third option is when they're really wide. It's the same thing as when you're sweeping the leg out, except you go really, really low. So you're basically using your foot at their foot and just kind of dragging their leg out of the way. You're not kicking it. This is really important. You're not kicking the leg, and you're not kicking the foot, and you're not hooking the foot. But it's like in Bugs Bunny cartoons back in the day when someone was on stage and that really long hook comes out and just like pulls them off the stage. That's what you're doing with your foot. You're just dragging it along the ground to like yank them off the stage, basically. Oh, that head dive off to the side. When he makes himself really long like that and he steps really far outside my guard and his head is out to the side like that, he has so many options that I cannot, in my like computer brain, compute all the options that he has. And so I just have to like panic pick what I think he's gonna do. And because he has so many options, you can be wrong in like 4 different ways. Ah. So I'm just staying on him now because we're both tired, but he's more tired than I am. So I'm just trying to stay close. He just hit me in the back of the head while I was fixing my shin guard, which is... There's no ref, so I don't know if that counts as a foul. So I'm trying to land off of my strikes into a position where I can turn him. I actually was in a pretty good position, but then I squared myself back up because I couldn't quite get outside of him. I should have actually gone in the exact opposite direction from what I was trying to do when he resisted me. And that's what he's showing me here. So if I'm pulling and he won't go down, change direction really fast outside and knock him over on the other side. He's like, you don't do it wide. You don't want your elbow up high and with a long arm trying to pull someone. You don't have power. You want it short. You want your arm one piece and your elbow kind of pulling down towards your hip. You have to be close. He's like, if you try to open a door with like a super long arm when it's heavy, it's not going to go. It's like a lever and you want it kind of short. So because I put him on the ground, I know I'm going to get it. So I'm laughing pretty hard because now I'm nervous. See how he keeps escaping out the side? That's why he taught me that kick. When you know that they only have one escape route, you catch them on their way out. He's saying my don. Don in Thai means to have something happen to you. It's the passive voice. So like if you get hit in the face, being hit in the face is don. So he's saying my don as I'm clearly hitting him in the face. Definitely don. But so now I'm the one who's like coming forward all the time and he's basically getting hit a lot and then doing one spectacular move that makes every little pecking shot I hit him with totally not count anymore. This is why you want style and movements, not just like, oh, I hit you 4 times, because my four times hitting him he's pinning my arm around the outside of the rope so it looks like I'm grabbing the rope, and then he's complaining to the ref that I grabbed the rope, but he kind of forced my arm around it. Tanadet Torpran 49, who is in the Muay Thai Library teaching the long clinch, he doesn't do this in his session, but when I play with him, he does that move a lot. He's very good at it, wrapping your arm around the rope and making you look like you're clinging to it. Oh, this is so important. Every time you catch a kick or a teep, pushing it across the kicker's body, there's nothing they can do. they're forced into a like just try to stay upright situation. I've got him against the ropes and I'm just like pushing my way in to this very bad position, and he's pinning my arm again. And then he put my other arm over it as well. Then he walks away like, why will you not even fight me? I'm like, I love the rope. See how he turned his body right there on my teep? He basically turned it into a slight parry, or like a dodge, so that I slipped off the side. His glove came off as I was trying to tuck it under my arm. You can see I've been talking a lot about his watching where his weight is. Because he's going backwards now and I'm the one who's aggressing, I'm putting a lot of weight on my front leg, which actually makes it so that I can't change direction very easily. The reason he keeps his glove keeps coming off, and he smacked it when he picked it up like the glove is being naughty or something. The reason he keeps his weight so much in the middle is so that he can constantly change direction, and he's not making like super big movements like you don't know where I am, like slipping side to side. He's doing very small changes in direction and weight transfer so that he can constantly be coming from different angles towards me, being kind of juggled in the center. He's juggling me with where his weight is at all times. There we go. He's watching people showing up for training, and I managed to get behind him and throw him into Kevin's camera, so there's a lot of yelling and laughing going on. So now he's just waiting for me to get into the range where I can hit him, and once I'm in that range, he's just timing off balancing me or like spoiling what my advancement is. This is really good for 5th round. In the 5th round, if you're already winning and you basically just need to defend your lead, you only need to block and basically spoil what your opponent is trying to do. And he's doing that in a very not like running away way. I'm saying that I'm taking all of these shots in order to fool the gamblers into lowering my price so that people can buy in cheaper. It's another example of how you pull real fight things into sparring in order to make it more of a game. I just got head kicked like 4 times. 5. It doesn't matter. Just keep playing. Here, I'm switching my stance a little bit. I'm doing a little bit more galloping, but it's very linear. Like I'm not lateral the way that he is, which is why he's able to stay away from me and stay in front of me. He threw me on the ground and I got up, and then he threw a knee over where I had been laying down like a good 4 seconds later.
No battery.
He's talking to someone who just came into the gym that there's no battery in the clock, so there's a little bit of a what's going on here as he's talking to someone who's outside of the frame. Trying to take a break, cheating. Oh, Mao. Look at how he just like... I'm trying to pin his arm outside of the rope the way that he did mine, but he's too strong. He just lifted his arm out of the way. But in his being tired, he's basically making me look ridiculous. Like, I can do this all day and you're just kind of like not giving up, like not getting the memo thing. But I'm tired too, and I know he's tired, so my goal is to stay really close to him and just basically keep forcing him to move. These are the 2 different styles of how to handle 5th round or, hour-long sparring fatigue. Look at his feet and his arms. Look at him switch all the time. He's just forcing me to get smaller and smaller in where I'm standing, and then he just did like a boxer shoulder check into the ropes. It's another donkey kick.
Oh.
I tried to do his dive down, right? So like my head came down and I tried to like body grab with the little dive down, and he caught me in time, so I wasn't able to do it. But if my head had come offline a little bit, I think I could have thrown a kick, like abandoned my plan of grabbing his body and thrown the kick, and it would have been Namsaknoi style. So here I'm catching him. He's trying to like go up high and low to try to like get a body lock. I basically, because I put my hips too far back, can't do the throw that he just did to me. So when you're doing those various clinch throws, where you're like popping the leg or sweeping the leg or anything like that, you actually have to have your body really, really close. If you bring your own weight down and your hips back, you can't do those throws. They're from very, very close leg and hip position. He's caught my kick and is pinning my face with his opposite arm. And now he's just pushing me over the side of the road. Basically, he takes like tons of strikes and then does something so big and performance-wise dominant that it just effaces and erases everything that I just did. That's why style is so important. I landed a pretty good cross. So now I'm running around as though I won, and he's performing as though he's Mao. So I basically, when I catch him like that, my hips are too far away to do any of the throws I want to do. But because of that, it causes me to pause. And every single trip he showed me in the clinch there is about timing. It's about catching your opponent while they're transitioning to another position. So you don't actually want to be locked. Like, you don't want to be like frozen down, like all my weight is here and I'm trying to like keep you in one position. You want them to be mid transition into another position when you throw those sweeps. Here I'm trying to do the spike guard a little bit with the parry because he's punching me in the face. When your opponent's tired, punch him in the body. It's a good move. I thought I had this like awesome spinning elbow and he just kicked me afterwards, like not a problem. Oh, he's making that sound again. War drum. Look at how he's throwing things without actually throwing them. This is the way that you can spar with someone and throw some like pretty nasty moves and dominate them and like keep hitting them without actually throwing it. He'll just like twitch his hip instead of actually throwing the kick, or he'll throw it but like let it kind of die instead of having a lot of power. But the dominance is 100% real. Just the power's low. Oh, trying to get that head dive in. I'm like popping in a little bit, getting a little bit of better movement here at the end under all this fatigue. But when I come in, because I come in with my head in front of my foot, that's why I can't get in the position to knock him over. So we're slowing down for a second so that I can practice this again, which is the like 2 steps back and then intercepting as you come forward. But what I'd forgotten from the first time that he showed me earlier in the session is that because you're going backwards and you're goading your opponent to come forward, you're waiting until their leg comes into the position that you want it in so that you can step past it. Watch his left leg. Because he's coming forward, when his front leg comes forward and I switch stance, my right leg is going to go behind his front leg as he's stepping forward. Here he's putting his finger on the ground and doing like a football game book plan. He's showing how if you come straight towards your opponent, they're too strong. Like, you can't knock them over going straight. As they're coming forward, you want to pivot off to the side, outside their stance, so that when you push them, you're knocking them over. So I started going right to get him to try to like stay outside of that foot, and then you quickly change direction and go the other way. But it's really important to not go too lateral. Like, you don't want to step wide. you want to step towards them and outside their foot. Their foot determines how wide you're stepping, but really you're stepping past it, like on it.
So they say if you see, right, if I move forward, and then you're, yeah.
Tie.
He's saying you watch the opponent move forward. You wait for their foot to get into the position you want.
This like huge reach.
Otherwise, I have to do this huge galloping step to the side to try to get outside of his stance. If I wait for his foot to come forward first, it's not so big of a step for me. And because I'm so long and big, I have a lot of space to like step outside of someone. So for a short fighter, if you're fighting someone taller or bigger, it's really good, especially to wait for that foot to come towards you first, because it does half the work for you. Oh, Namsaknoi is awesome.